The sports world. It's a circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas.
Score, put the ball down, give it to the referee. And I don't even care if you slam it down, but you don't have to dance. You don't have to call your mom on the phone. You don't have to go
The Sports Circus is a 1-hour primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC News, and CNBC radio affiliates, plus Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, WOW cable TV affiliates across North America and nationwide in upscale hotels and resorts on hotel television in all 210 Nielsen-rated markets.
Just like a circus.
My life is just a party, and parties weren't meant to last. Dickerson.
Jason Hook, Zarbler from Five Finger Death Punch.
Sidney Justin from The Miracles.
My name is Curtis Blow. Basketball is my favorite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down the court. I'm here on the Sports Circus.
The Sports Circus brings top sports and entertainment content and is delivered fully produced and is easy pass-through traffic for radio stations. Simply drop the program in your traffic manager. The full 59-minute, 50-second file will coordinate with the clock. Your local station receives up to 4 minutes of local avails during the Sports Circus broadcast, and it's a great lead to live sports and entertainment.
Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, why not talk about commercial products who don't do what they represent to do?
Yes!
Big Billy here. He certainly knows something about making things difficult on the competition.
He's a punisher.
Yeah, he just break the ribs.
Yeah,
I still haven't broke someone's collarbone yet in a boxing match.
That's a great statement. I have not broke someone's collarbone in the ring yet.
I've never heard that before.
I can't
Is
wait.
there a reason you said in the ring?
I can't wait.
Is it that you've broken collarbones just outside of the ring? You did catch that, right? He said in the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
So he got him on the curtain. He got him on the edge of the ring and broke his collarbone.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
I had to get Sal's name right.
Well, Sal the floor sweeper.
That's his new name.
Sal the bookkeeper. Hey,
Yeah, but even my name, even my last name.
Add that one to the bank,
But no, Alicia, you even got my last name wrong. That's why I said my
I know it
colon
starts
was
with a
bleeding.
V.
He said a V. Really? Quick, where's the punch sound? 400 punches.
Here's the punch sound.
Right, exactly. Look, he almost knocked out the microphone.
Alicia, that's why they have cue cards, baby. That's so don't let the name bother you. Just bring a cue card with you next
But
time.
people can't read my name off a cue card.
Or change your name to Joe Smith or something. Jeez, make it easy.
This is Sal Tuzzolino, host and ringmaster of the Sports Circus. Why listen to the same old dog and pony show that you've heard all day long? The Sports Circus covers everything that other shows don't or are too scared to cover. There's no primetime show like it on air that'll punch you in the mouth and you'll beg for more. Also, you could call in and participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem. Remember, folks, it's a circus, and we prove it every day.
I want to try to instill some of this winning environment for this particular team. What's been your experience? Kevin, we're going to start with you. What was your experience going from Team A to Team B and bringing that Super Bowl experience to the next team?
They were kind of getting on me, wanting me to chill out a little bit, not play a game on a Wednesday and Thursday. But I always felt that, you got to play at game day speed on Wednesday and Thursday so that you're instinctive and you can play on game day speed on game day.
The Sports Circus is received well on all radio formats and is currently aired on sports, news, and music stations.
Andre Reed.
Mario Andretti.
Herschel Walker.
Roy Firestone. Mike Haynes.
Jim Jeffco.
Rod Jaworski.
Al Bubba Baker.
Brett Saberhagen.
It's a circus, and we prove it every day.
Aaron Fink. Breaking Benjamin. Jason Hartlett. Drummer for rock legend Ted Nugent.
Matt Starr. Drummer for Ace Frehley from Kiss.
Phil Buckman, the bass player in the rock band Fuel.
Hey, brother.
Hey, we know quality content is hard to find, so if you're ready to have the Sports Circus in your market, give us a call right now at 714-948-0100. That's 714-948-0100. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone. Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC Sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. The Sports Circus.
You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Stretch. You can put it on the board. Yes.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. Today's show is brought to you by Place Your Bet. If you like to bet on sports games, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, even golf and boxing, MMA, and you're looking for a real bettor's edge on the casino sportsbook, call Place Your Bet right now at 702-799-9935 and sign up for a subscription. Place Your Bet uses money movement to determine their picks, just like the casino odds makers. They're the guys that the sportsbook don't want you to know about. Call Place Your Bet right now at 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935 right now. Again, sign up for your subscription or visit them at placeyourbet.vegas. Get winners and cash tickets today with Place Your Bet, and tell them the circus sent you. And a big welcome to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. We have a special co-host with us today. Why? Because we can. As a matter of fact, it is a two-time All-Star, a World Series champion, American League home run leader, on the San Francisco Giants Wall of Fame. And by the way, played with Henry Aaron for a whole bunch of years, and that would be Darrell Evans. Thanks for joining us, Darrell.
Hey, Sal. Thanks for having me. Great to be on.
Yes, sir. Oh, and by the way, 414 home runs, 1,354 RBIs, too, in case you're keeping track, along with those 2,223 hits. What else am I missing, Darrell?
Well, I was on base when Hank hit 715.
Now, that's exciting. I didn't know that.
That was pretty... You didn't know that? Well, I'm glad I told
that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was about as big a thrill as anybody could ever have, I think. And
hell yeah,
it's kind of fun to be the only guy who can say that.
You're right.
To play with him for being a teammate for about 6 years and getting to listen to the best hitter of all time, best player of all time, and every day and watch how he went about playing and how. Talk about an underrated guy, which is kind of crazy.
Uh-huh.
But, guy won 2 batting titles, a couple of stolen base titles, all that kind of stuff that he doesn't get credit for. And it was a thrill to be there and watch him go about things every day.
Right. One of my...
anybody better than him.
One of our guys here, Statmaster Steve, we'll call him Statomatic or whatever you want to call him, he had said earlier, and I didn't really realize this, but even if you take away all of those 755 home runs, he still had 3,000 hits.
It's just amazing. It's mind-boggling to what the guy did. And it's like, we called him Superman, so we called him Soup for short because that's what he was. I mean, it seemed like he got hit every time up. Obviously, he didn't, but
right.
He was such a threat. He did so many things right, and he was such a instinctive, great player. Obviously, his offensive numbers, but just everything else he was great at doing. Great
the gold
leader,
gloves.
Class act, and,
the gold gloves and all that other stuff. And what's crazy is you think of all that, and And oh, by the way, a 25-time All-Star. Anytime you could learn from somebody like that, something tells me that you're in the right room.
Well, one of the first things that happened to me when I was first time spring trading with a big club in Atlanta, and sitting down at the end, Cleveland was the third baseman, so of course we're the rookies. We watching the first game, all excited. I think I was sitting down at the far end of the dugout, and about the third inning, Tommy Aaron, Hank's brother, who was a great player that won a couple batting titles in AAA, and then he ran into Orlando Cepeda when he got to the big leagues. So didn't get as many opportunities, obviously, but he comes walking down to us at the end with it, and then we're going, "Oh man, what's he going to say? Would we do something wrong?" And he sat there and he looked at me and he goes, "Why are you sitting here?" And I go, "Well, what do you mean? I didn't know what to say. I was shy. I didn't say anything to anybody anyway." And he goes, "Go sit down there and listen to those guys. You know who's sitting down there? He wants you to sit down there because he wants you to be as good as you can be if you get a chance to be on the team." So I guess that kind of said it all, and that's that invitation was there all the time. And I look back and I think, shoot, I probably didn't do enough of it. But at first you're trying to sneak around and not not make yourself obvious that you're listening and watching. But it's like going to the best teacher of all time, and him wanting to pass along all that stuff. That's it was amazing. And again, like I said, this mind-boggling 755 home runs. If he averaged, he played 24 years, so he only averaged 38 home runs a year.
Oh, that's all.
24 years. So that's all.
All right. Oh, that's the same guy, by the way, for his career. That's the same guy that hit 305 for his entire career on top of it.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, yeah,
to
they don't.
imagine.
They don't give him credit for that either, obviously. So,
Right.
and like you said, take away those home runs, and he was still, 3,000 more than 3,000 hits. So it was a joy, man. What a fun time to just think about going to the ballpark and you get to watch him. That was.
Now you hit in front of him, didn't you?
Yeah, I was. I was lucky that kind of. When I first started playing every day, Eddie Matthews was the manager, and put me in front of him, left-handed, obviously, so that changed a little bit. Plus, I walked a lot, so so it was like, yeah, let's see how many guys we can get on base, and maybe give me a few more pitches to hit more fastballs, and that's people. It's like, oh, well, you got nothing but fastballs that you must do and everything. And then I go, yeah, but I led the league in walks a couple of times and walked 100 times. So I learned that my job was to either, hit one out or get on base for Hank because he was going to hit one out.
Right. Somebody was going to hit one. And with your 414 combined with his 755, man, that's a lot of jogs around the bases. That's for sure. Hey, Darrell, listen, we're going to come up on a commercial break here. In just a moment. I want to hear another Hank Aaron story when we come back. And I know you've got plenty of them, but I want that one that actually relates with how it affected you as a ball player. Give us some real cause and effect. I'd love to hear that. There's a lot of people out there that are asking for this kind of thing, and not many people are able to give the insights on a guy like Hank Aaron, like yourself. I mean, who else can really do it that we know? Nobody that I know, nonetheless. Anyway, folks, we're going to be back here on the Sports Circus with Darrell Evans, world champion, former All-Star third baseman. Also, he played first, too, and he was a home run champion as well in the American League. Back here in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal here with special guest and co-host Darrell Evans. This segment is brought to you by Cali Vegas, helping people just like you create and host your very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Cali Vegas can help you with everything you need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic every day like you're doing right now and host your own talk show in your own studio. Call Cali Vegas right now at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Again, 949-445-1119, or visit them at calivegas.com. That's CALI Vegas.com, and tell them the circus sent you. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio and Spotify. We can't forget those guys. Just added them recently. And, of course, our NBC, CBS, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. And Darrell Evans, being the World Series champion, the multiple All-Star, and the guy who can really do it all. Darrell, let me ask you, as a guy facing hard throwers, now think back to that mid-1970s Houston Astros rotation, right? Think back, and that was the... Right, yeah, I'm asking you to. It's the Nolan Ryan, right? The Mike Scott, the Richard. You know, all three of those, these guys are throwing over 100 miles an hour.
JR.
Right, exactly.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, yeah. Well, you know, that's the adjustment you have to make in baseball because, you know, you hope you don't get them when they're throwing really good and all that kind of stuff because that's out of your control. So it's going to make it harder for you. But now, one of the things I think that's changed so much, and I've had comments from when I go down to the ballpark once in a while and stuff, is that, you know, guys can't hit fastballs like they used to. And that was, when I came up, that was all that mattered. You know, you have to hit a fastball, and then, you know, I coach, teach, and all that kind of stuff. We tell the kids and stuff, you know, if you can't hit 93 in on you're not going to play. And so it was an adjustment to that, you know, the harder the guy throws, the more patient I got to be. You know, just because he throws harder, I can't swing at pitches that I can maybe hit off of 91, 92 because they're going to be outs and I'm going to miss them. So it was a question of, you know, being more patient and sitting fastball more often and hitting the ball out in front more often because if I was ever late, I think we can all relate to that. If you're ever late, you can't even put the ball in play. And right. So it was a game where you go, okay, I'm going to, you know, he's proud of his fastball, which they all were, so that I'm trying to get into, you know, go up there every time. I learned from Hank and Eddie Matthews and everything else, is that I went up and hit when it was 2-0 every time because I wanted to hit in the fastball count. So I had to get myself ready to hit 2-0 and don't worry about the breaking ball and all that kind of stuff because if I can't hit a fastball, I certainly can't hit a break ball. And, you know, the pitchers are smart enough to go, heck, if he can't hit a fastball, I'm not going to throw him break a ball. So it was a game to play. And, you know, I say all the time, when they are you know, he just threw fastballs, and then all of a sudden he got that 92-mile-an-hour slider, 93, and it's like, wow. Especially the right-hander, they had no chance. I mean, it was like, okay, so So, and then when Nolan Ryan, he was hittable, of course, but when he had his breaking ball getting it over, then he was a different pitcher. But we had to go up there and, they're going to try and see if we can hit that fastball. And Seaver and Carlton, all those guys, I think I've faced 39 Hall of Fame pitchers now. So, and very, very few of them were breaking ball pitchers. They're all, I'm going to challenge you. And they're trying to find out about the hitter, too, because they understand that the hitter's not good all the time either. Even a guy like Hank. They're trying to find out which guys can hit fastballs and which guys can't. And that changes every time they go out there. Might face them 2 weeks before, and they might not be throwing as hard or whatever. And the same thing, they're trying to find out who's in the lineup that's swinging good, and the guy that's swinging good is hitting fastball.
Okay, so
take
that idea.
It's a constant adjustment. Yeah.
Darrell, take that idea, and when you look at today's fireball throwers, you get a lot of guys that are just rearing back and throwing four-seamers as hard as they possibly can. But what the reason I brought up the guys from the Astros was because what we saw with Ryan and Scott and Richard, we saw that rising fastball. We don't see a lot of that in today's game. And when you look at that hold that thought.
I see what you're talking about, but I think most of the time is because if you have if your fastball's, fairly straight, then the more they see you, the more they're going to catch up, and the good guys are going to get you.
Right.
So it's that fine line of going, okay, is the speed more important than the movement? And I think as you get older, as you get more experience as a pitcher, it's not the speed, because guys can, they're going to catch up with you.
They're going to dial it up.
And it's not a switch you can throw on and off, and thank God, because none of us wouldn't be able to hit any of those guys. But they get away, they have to throw fastballs over the plate, and then when they throw them over the plate and they start getting turned around a little bit, then they got to change. I know, I think it was last year before, I remember Chapman coming in to the ninth inning and throwing a first pitch slider. And I was thinking, what in the world is going on here? So obviously he wasn't confident in his fastball, or that guy up, or something was happening.
Right.
So that's a tip-off for the hitters in a way, too. That's something you learn from the guys like Hank. And, we're watching. Just watch what's going on. What's he trying to do? In between innings, what's he working on? Some pitchers, they're out there working on trying to get their break ball over. The guys that are throwing good, they throw, 3 or 4 pitches, 5 pitches, they're done. The other guys that are struggling, and they tell you that. So you try to get that edge, and knowing that if they're struggling, if they're not confident, that they're going to make mistakes, a little more mistakes than they make. And I think one of the things we don't see, just talking to my son, who we have a baseball academy and we teach hitting and all that kind of stuff, and we were talking about that, is that we watch the games, and they go, okay, throws fastball this fast and this, and then we watch the game, and then the catcher sets up on one side, and the guy misses by 18 inches all the way across the plate, or from down to up, and the guy swings, and they give him credit for that, when in reality, that was a mistake on the hitter, and that goes along with confidence again. So, but if you start taking those pitches, it changes everything for them. And so, I think most of it was from Hank and those guys is that I can only hurt certain pitches, and the more I get a good pitch to hit, the more success I'm going to have. I grew up watching, obviously, Ted Williams and his book and studying and everything else. And the one thing in his book, they have a picture there of all of what he hit or what he thought he hit at every place in the strike zone. And he had some weaknesses, and the pitchers are trying to throw it there. If they don't throw it, they throw it in this danger zone, they're in trouble. So it's it's pitch by pitch. It's you could be sailing along and be lucky, and guys hit it at somebody, or the guy pops the ball. Hank was great at this. So they try to challenge him. It's, when he was older in September. They call up the young kids and pitchers and all that stuff, and he was on a mission to get them, because they would most of them were like, well, he can't hit my fastball because he's 37, 30, whatever. And sometimes they would, sometimes he wouldn't get him. They'd jam him maybe, or they thought they did. Well, he'd come back, he's going to throw me that same pitch again. And so it wasn't necessarily, well, that was a good pitch, and I'm going to go back there again. It was, as he mentioned, setting a trap for the pitcher. He doesn't know. How would he know? He could read my mind, but how would he know whether I made a mistake hitting that ball? I was late. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, or was it a good pitch? And so as we do the stats and we watch the stats and we do all those numbers and all that kind of stuff, but I watch the games and I watch where the catcher sits up and how many times they hit the glove. And how many times they throw a ball right down the middle, guy strikes out, and it's like, well, he's pitching really good. Well, in reality, while you're on the field and you're sitting in the dugout and you're coming up there and you're going, man, I just missed that pitch. And everybody else is going to know, shoot, he's throwing all these pitches down, but we just been missing them. Or he's, we're swinging the bad balls. All those kind of things go into play. So, when you got Ryan on the back of your uniform, you certainly have an advantage, because people expect you to be really great all the time, and that's not always the case.
Right. All right, folks, we're going to be back here in just a few minutes.
We were talking.
What's that? Go ahead, Darrell.
I think that's what we were talking about. I think that's what we were talking about, Sealy. Sale,
so.
I mean. So,
Sale, yeah.
It's they're trying to figure out what's wrong, but in the reality, he's the only one that knows what's wrong, and I think it's
exactly.
The success isn't that, because he keeps getting reminded of it, and he's used to winning 2 out of 3 games.
Right. All right, folks, we're going to be back here in just a few minutes on the Sports Circus with Darrell Evans, World Series champion and All-Star third baseman. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557.
There's a drive, way back. It might be, it could be, and this crowd is wild.
You're watching the Sports Circus, and I am Brian Urlacher.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. This segment is brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind for less than $1 a day. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to you that you don't understand, plus a whole lot more. Call Legal Shield right now for help for less than $1 a day at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or visit them online at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. And again, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, and even those on Spotify. Pretty soon it's going to be Pandora as well. We're all over the place. And we're here with our special co-host today. That would be Darrell Evans, World Series champion, all-star third baseman, and first baseman. Big home run guy, 414 home runs on the Giants Wall of Fame. Pretty much done it all. Played with Hammer and Hank for years and years and years. And, wow, I learned a lot from him. And I'm going to go to Darian because I think Darian has a question for Darrell.
I do, Darrell. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm great, Terry.
Good, man. Question for you.
What you got?
Now, I am affectionately referred to as the Southside Cub fan. So my question to you, even though we understand that you and your beloved Tigers destroyed the San Diego Padres in '84, did you ever really have a hankering to maybe play against those '84 Cubs? That was the first time they had actually got back to the pennant. They were on fire, and they just fell short against the Padres. Would you rather have played the Cubs that year, or were you happy destroying the Padres?
I don't think anybody except Padre fans thought that we weren't going to play the Cubs. It was a perfect setup. I mean, two old teams that hadn't been there for a long time. Of course, the Cubs and everything else. Two great teams, probably the two. You look back and you can argue, the Cubs had the best team in the National League, and it was all coming down to set up this perfect scenario. I think for the whole. I mean, not just the Chicago and Detroit, but the whole country. I think that's what everybody wanted. And I remember we ended up sweeping the Royals in a tougher series than just winning 3 in a row. But we were sitting in Detroit and waiting because if we were going to play the Cubs, we were going to open at home, and then we played the Padres. We were going to open on the road. So we were sitting there waiting and watching and everything else, and seeing that game turn, and all of a sudden, and then you realize and go, yeah, well, of course, the Padres were really good. I mean, Nevels and Goose and Gwynn and Garvey and, all those. I mean, they had Kennedy. They had a great team. But I think everybody was expecting that. The one thing I didn't want to have it happen in the Cubs because we couldn't have got any tickets, in Wrigley Field, that's for sure. But so, but you know that the best team, the best team wins. I mean, it may not be the best team necessarily on paper or all that kind of stuff, but the team that's playing the best, and it all comes down to one mistake or one key play, and that's kind of the way it was. And I know it disappointed so many people, but I know it would have been great. We'd have loved to do that, and I think that we had confidence then that we had the best team in baseball, and that whatever it took, we were going to be able to overcome that. But I would have loved to have gone back. I played 15 years in the National League, and going in that ballpark playing in Wrigley is just a joy to go back there, and it would have been fun to do that. But I'm glad it worked out the way it worked out.
Absolutely. I totally understand. The Tigers were the team to beat that year, so congratulations.
Right. All right, well, let me ask you this. Now, you think about the last 3 World Series. I would argue that those were lost instead of the teams that won actually won the series. I think the losing team had the upper hand. All they did is basically lose the series. They overmanaged, overstated, overthought. And, we don't see pitchers, for example, pulled out from the eye test anymore. Everything is stats. But whatever happened to, hey, let's use a little bit of logic. Let's not burn through our bullpen. Let's not get our starters out too quickly. And I would argue the last 3 World Series were actually lost instead of won.
Well, I think you have a point in a lot of ways, and we got to remember that every managerial move almost is you're either 51% right or 49% wrong, and it becomes down to whatever you do, whatever you change. It's how they perform, and you try to put them in the right situations, and you do things a little differently because it's not a long season, it's a short season, and the games become, I don't say more important, but if obviously it is like you got to win this when you go home. So I think you try not to make a mistake and go, well, I should have done that. And I think it's easier to live with it. And I don't know, that, well, maybe I did it too soon. And of course, it's easy for us to look and go because it didn't work out the way we, the way it was planned in a lot of ways. But again, baseball is great because, look at who was the heroes in the World Series last year. A guy that, he was, played great at the right time periods, and you weren't counting on him, and doing what he did. Can't do that for anybody, and all of a sudden he does something extraordinary. And I guess that's, if we could look back at all the World Series, it's not necessarily what happens whether the guy strikes out the guy in the 9th inning or the guy gets a hit in the 9th inning. It's just like baseball really is. Every inning is important. So, you come down to the end and go, okay, I want to get this matchup and all that kind of stuff. And, it's one of the things about baseball that all the stuff that's come out now, they're putting the shifts and they got to give them, all these signs and tell them, we all learned that on our own.
I'm glad we
had a responsibility to do this on our own. That was part of our learning. It wasn't so that we were kind of left alone to learn how to do that rather than go, no, this is the way it is because statistically, this is the way it's supposed to be.
All right, now,
perfect example for me. What? Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, hold that thought, because I want to ask you something here. Now, in the Atlantic League, as we go down the food chain of Major League Baseball, the Atlantic League gets the first test of the rule banning on the shift. And I have to say, I'm going to applaud that. If the game was supposed to be played that way, I suppose it would have been written that way. But one of the rules changes here, and the Atlantic League has agreed to implement a ban on defensive shifts. The rule has adopted there to be 2 infielders on either side of second base, obviously for obvious reasons, right? Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Well, you'd think so, but one of the writers of this particular article says not so, and so they contest the idea of it. And I guess what it comes down to is, as Major League Baseball has been tinkering with a pitch clock in minor league baseball. I saw that last year in Las Vegas with the Las Vegas 51s that would be the New York Mets. And now you're seeing a potential shift ban. What are they trying to do here? Can't they just leave the damn game alone and just say, look, it goes at its own rate and that's the end of it? And if players were supposed to be loaded up on one side, don't you think the game would have been put together that way? What do you think about all that? Take a minute and give us a little bit of input.
Hey, well, you know what? They don't listen to me anymore. So, of course.
They don't listen to me either. No.
You know, it's, you know, what just think? It's like, okay, so, you know, when I teach hitting and I go to fantasy camps and I ask everybody and I go, well, where's everybody taught to hit the ball? And everybody goes up the middle. Well, all of a sudden, we took up a middle away. So it's not so much the shift in a lot of ways. I'm just throwing out something here that I don't hear from anybody else. But the shift has taken the middle away. Not just, and so it's an adjustment that the defense, that the other team is going, well, you know what? Hey, you got to make an adjustment. And so, but it's like, isn't that the way everything progresses? Do we go, well, let's see, it wasn't written in the rules, but we're going to make something up. I think it's, I don't know, why is it anybody can just come out with an idea and go, oh, well, that's a good idea, and I think that works. You know, I mean, look at how much it's taken away from the game. I look back and I go, what if we move the mound back to 61 feet? Or, 67 feet or 66 feet. What if we move the bases to 87 instead of or the 92?
Right.
You know, would anybody go for that? I don't think so, because it would change the whole basic of the game. Now, so because what's happened now is like, well, why wouldn't we play where guys hit the ball all the time? I mean, that was what we had to learn. That was what Eddie Matthews, the first time I ever talked to him, you know, he was my idol anyway, third baseman. He was a hitting coach when I got to the big leagues and hit me ball after ball and everything else. And I finally afterwards, I go, well, how do I position myself? And he goes, we'll find out where they're going to hit it.
Hey, Darrell, hold that thought because we're going to go to break real quick. Back here in a few minutes with Darrell Evans, World Series champion, all-star third baseman, Giants Wall of Fame. Back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Excellent.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford. He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from the Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Did you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? And that was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong.
My heart went out to play, but in the game I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby.
How's that, man?
That's
Is that okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible. Fantastic. You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes! Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports. You get music.
And welcome back to the Sports Circus, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. You're listening to the Ringmaster Sal on the Sports Circus. Make sure you visit us at thesportscircus.com to get all your updates, all your scores, and everything that Sal has for you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sports Circus.
All right, and that was Darian, our man in charge in Chicago. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, back here with Darrell Evans, World Series champion, all-star third baseman, dropping a little knowledge on defense in the during commercial break. And go ahead and run over that real quick before you ask your question, Darian, because a lot of people don't realize that the defense will manipulate the hitter instead of the other way around, Darrell.
Well, they try to. And, yeah, that's the point of the shift is, the bigger, to me, it's like, okay, so I would have wished they didn't have a shift when I hit, but they had one on me all the time. But anyway, it's if you hit the ball to the pull side of the field, you're right-handed, you hit it to the left side of second base, or if you're left-handed, you hit to the right side of second base, you hit the ball harder, almost, 90% of the time. I mean, that's just the way it is. And that's why they're realizing now that guys hit the ball harder on that side of the field. So naturally, someone figured out and went, we're going to allow the fielders to play where the guys hit the ball the most time. And so now it's a decision of going, I think people think it's easy. That, they can hit the ball wherever they want to. Well, if that was the case, they'd all hit 800 or 1,000, but they don't do that. You can't do that. So it's trying to take away the offense, just like in any game. We're trying to make it harder for you to get hits and for you to score runs. And so I think it's a natural progression. When I was on the 84 Tigers, Dan Pichu was our second guy behind Morris, but he was a number one pitcher too. And he had as good a slider as anybody in baseball. And I know that when I was playing third base, when he was facing a right-handed hitter, and I'm watching the game, and if he's pitching good, and he's got decent command with his breaking ball, it's always going to be a waste. So what I did is I always played guys almost way over in the hole, maybe 7 or 8, 10 feet to my left at third base, because no one was going to hit the ball down the line. Because if he threw, and every time he threw a slider, they were not going to do it. And there's times when guys would hit the ball right to me, and they'd look, kind of gone out of the box, look at me like, "The hell are you playing me there?" Well, that's because that's where you hit the ball. So we can't take that away from anybody. I mean, and it's like, so that's what part of the game is that it's not just going up there and getting 4 at bats. It's going up there. You win a lot more games on defense, and the difference between the best fielders are the ones that play where they're supposed to play the percentage of where's this guy hit the ball, and how your pitcher is pitching. When you've got a good pitcher on the mound, and you pretty much probably got better command than most guys. That's why they're the best. That's why they're better. And so if they have decent command, you expect a guy that this guy up there, you've got to factor in all that. Who's the guy up there? Okay, where does he hit the ball most of the time? Well, now it's okay for them to go ahead and play there. And it's like, so that's what we did. I mean, I learned that. I mean, that's one of the first things. It's like, okay, hey, I was lucky enough when I can't Pete Bohr was third base, one of the greatest third base all the time. It's like, well, play the guy here. When Eddie Matthews told me, he was the hitting coach, but he was a Hall of Fame guy. And, hey, play him over there in the hole if they can't get it down the line. And now it's, the shift is taken away, the ball up the middle. I think we are starting to talk about that. That's the biggest thing, is that hole up the middle now is getting taken away from the hitter. And I don't think people talk about that at all. It's like, because if you hit it, I mean, like Ted Williams said, he had the shift on all the time. He still hit, 3-8, whatever he'd hit, because he had to hit through the shift. So he had to hit the ball harder most of the time. And now, though, that up the middle is getting taken away from us all being taught to hit the ball up the middle. So it's just a progression of the game, and it's an adjustment they have to make. And this game has always been for the pitchers. Any pitch that's close is supposed to be a strike, but it's 17-inch plate, and the black isn't supposed to be a strike, but it is. And then we watch the games, and a lot of times that pitch isn't, it's off the plate. We know it's off the plate. Pitcher gets it because we have to adjust to the umpire, and that's what his perception that day is. So this game has always been to make it easier for the pitchers. And I mean, people laugh at that kind of or whatever, or they go, "Oh no," but that's kind of the way it is. So even though these guys supposedly throw harder, and they're better, which isn't true, we know that, but it's okay. We're going to make it harder for guys to hit. That's why guys only hit 400. That's why nobody's hitting 350.
Okay, Darrell, I got a quick question for you.
To make an adjustment. Yes, sir.
Okay. You were a ferocious home run hitter. I mean, I used to watch your scowl on your face. If I was a pitcher pitching to you, I would have been nervous because I imagine that ball is coming back 1,000 miles an hour. How do you feel about this thing with the bat flip now, where if a guy hits a 3-run homer and he puts his team ahead in the top of the 8th inning, or whatever, and then he comes up to the plate, is he supposed to get drilled by the pitcher because he flips his bat? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, he's supposed to get whipped. Because this is the way I was taught. And every generation before me and the couple after me is that you're supposed to act like you do it at every time. And that, you know what? And I was taught that just because I catch a pass if I catch a pass in the end zone, it's okay for me to dance and make fun of the other team. So this is what we got into. So I hit a home run, look at me, and you're not going to do anything about it. The biggest thing I ever learned coming up from Hank and Eddie and everything, these pitchers are going to try to intimidate you. These are men. This is their job. They're going to find out whether you're scared or how you're going to react to stuff like that. And you know what? If you don't like it, Eddie told me, he goes, you know what? Hey, if you leave your feet at home plate, and they're going to find that out, and everybody elite's going to understand and go, okay, all we got to do is come close, and he can't hit anymore. And then he told me, he goes, yeah. Plus, if you leave your feet, you better go up to the mound. He goes, but I wouldn't suggest that either, because by the time you get up to the mound, you're going to have 7 guys on the other team beating on you. You're going to end up on the bottom, and you're the one that's going to get hurt. So the only way I could change that is to hit a home run off of the next time up. And so that's how we played the game. That's the way the game was played. It wasn't a license to, to bring attention to myself because I did something that was supposed to be my job. Damn right. And when there's times, and most of the time, it wasn't the first time this guy's ever done. I mean, can you imagine that? So every one of those bat flips on TV now. What do you think the pitchers on the other team or the other team's thinking about this guy now? Well, he put himself in that position. And why did he do it? I mean, what's the pluses out of doing that? I hear this phrase.
Listen, man, there are no pluses to bat flipping, none whatsoever. It shows the other team up. It shows your immaturity, and all it does is put your team on the other side of something that's going to be painful that's coming up, whether it's the next guy batting or whether it's your next time around or your next couple of at-bats. But either way, folks, we're out of time here on the Sports Circus. A big thank you to Darrell Evans, World Series champion and two-time All-Star, third baseman, 414 home runs, a truckload of RBIs, and all kinds of neat stuff, and also a guy that really had a good eye that knew how to take a walk as well. Darrell, thanks for joining us today. And for our Southside Cub fan over in Chicago, Darian, thanks for doing what you do. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Until next time, so long, everyone, from the circus.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.